Thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast series, where we profile those who have overcome or those who are in the process of overcoming any life topic. We have three objectives with this podcast series. Our first objective is we want you to know that whatever you're experiencing in life, whatever you're encountering, you're not alone. We want to join you to let you know that we together can help you through whatever challenge you may have that at the time may seem too difficult to be able to overcome. Our second objective is to help you determine with a very confident resolve there are multiple solutions, multiple factors involved in any life encounter. It's a matter of thinking into and thinking through the life situation you are encountering to determine the various options, the various solutions that are available to you. Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If whatever you're experiencing is a result of a decision you made sometime in the past, such that if you had a life redo, you would make a different decision, we want to help you determine the objective facts and factors to evaluate to help you reach a more informed decision. I'm Ron Cooper, founder of the Cooper Culture. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty. Together we are the Cooper Culture, and the Cooper Culture is sponsoring this podcast series. Today we feature Peter George, who earlier in life had a lisp, he stuttered, but he was able to overcome that, and he's now a very accomplished speaking coach. He has overcome a lot of reservation, fears, low confidence, and he encourages our listeners by his example of how to overcome some of the earlier life and trepidations that kept him from living at his full potential. Marty, what are some takeaways that our listeners can gain from this podcast?
Ron, as you listen to Peter's story and all that he went through, from the beginning, he always had a passion to be a public speaker. His dad encouraged him, and he recommends to those of you that is your passion, you want to become a public speaker because you want to help your audience, Peter says, just do it. Just get out there and do it. Your first one will be your worst one. Also, he talks about how introverts are very good speakers. So if you're an introvert and you're listening to an extrovert and you're thinking, I'll never be as good as him or her, don't doubt yourself, because Peter says introverts are good speakers, so go for it.
Peter has a very inspirational message. Let's listen together. Thank you so much for joining us. You have, it seems, learned to perfect the art of public speaking and develop a confidence along with that, but you overcame, or you know how to deal with stuttering, stammering, and those kinds of things from an earlier life. And I know there are a lot of our listeners who are going to be very interested in knowing how you overcame that, let's just say the stutter and any other descriptor you may put to that, and in addition have the confidence to speak to people. But also, did you have that confidence from the very beginning, or is that something you had to develop? But Peter, our listeners are going to be very interested in your story, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. Did I have the confidence to begin with in public speaking? Not by any stretch of the imagination. I couldn't have thought of anything I would rather not do. But I had confidence in other parts of my life. And growing up, I'm from Rhode Island, and growing up in Providence in the mid-'60s as a young boy, when I had my lisp and my stutter, you did two things fairly proficiently. One was keep your mouth shut, especially in school. Around your closest friends, that was okay, but in school, you kept your mouth shut. You didn't answer teachers' questions and the like, and you didn't talk to people you didn't know. The other thing was to become very proficient in sports, because if you were good in sports, you didn't get picked on. So I played baseball, football, and hockey, so I wouldn't get picked on, and I didn't. And so I had confidence in sports. I had confidence in school, as long as teachers didn't call on me. And that was there. But as far as speaking, no. It just wasn't going to happen in my lifetime as far as I was concerned.
Did the sports confidence carry you over into the speaking confidence? Is that a correlation?
Yeah, I think so. You know, looking back, I don't think it was anything premeditated that I had sat down and thought about, but I believe putting yourself out there in sports, and I was the quarterback, I was the catcher, I was the starting defenseman in hockey. So you were constantly in front of other people who were going to judge or criticize you. And you didn't think about that. You just went out and did what you had to do. And it was the same thing when I started public speaking, not right off the bat, of course, but I profess as a coach now for public speaking. Remember, it's not about you. Go out and do what you have to do to help others. And in sports, you're doing it to help the team, to win the game, whatever it might be. But it's the same thing in public speaking. It's not about the speaker. As I say, it's always about the audience. So if we remember that, does it make it easy? Not by any stretch of the imagination. Does it make it more possible? Yes. Is it a head game? Maybe a little bit, but there's a lot of truth in it. Make it about the audience, what they're going to take away, what you're going to share with them. And I remind people, and this is what my dad said to me, you didn't win a lottery. You were asked to do this for a reason. And I always kept things like that in my head that, yeah, this is frightening. And everybody's still nervous about public speaking, no matter who it is. And maybe they're not nervous about getting up in front of people anymore, but they're nervous about doing a good job and making sure that people walk away with what was intended to have them take with them. But my life in going into public speaking happened in a very odd way. When I went to work for a large corporation, they said I had to present and talk to people. And I said, I don't do that. I just don't do that. And they said, well, you have to, or you don't have this job. So I went and got help. Well, actually, first I tried on my own, and that was really slow. I didn't know if what I was doing was best or not. There was no feedback. So then I went and got help, and that made a world of difference. And then when I opened my own companies, I found out that was the greatest way to build my businesses, was to go out and talk. So it was a gradual change. It was nothing, like I said, nothing premeditated. And I look back and wonder how it all happened, to tell you the truth. But it did. And as a friend of mine who teaches public speaking in Australia says, no one has ever died of public speaking. There's no certificate out there, death certificate out there that says cause of death is public speaking. Does it make it easier? No. But it's the truth.
Help the listener, Peter, who possibly has a lisp, stutter, something of that nature. It's very poignant. What you said, it's all about the audience. And if you're addressing the audience and their needs, what they want, to the person who may have a lisp or stutter, can they still speak with that lisp or stutter? Can they still address an audience appropriately, or is the lisp, stutter, and the so forth, is that something a person would have to overcome before they even think about speaking in public?
I don't think they have to either put it aside, public speaking aside, or even wait. There's a lot of us who don't do things what I would call fluently, but we do it well. And since it is about the audience and not the speaker, sure, they might be self-conscious. And, yeah, some people might say, ooh, that's a lisp or whatever it might be. But as long as that audience gets to take away what they need to take away, what they want and need to take away, then everything's fine. And let's face it, if I go up, I don't necessarily stutter when I'm speaking on stage. The only time I really stutter anymore is if I'm speaking about something that's very near and dear to me. So if I would speak about my children or my parents or things like that, I'll start to stutter. But if I'm speaking about business, sports, or music, I don't stutter. It's a very odd thing, but it's the way it's always been. And I would suggest to anybody who has a lisp, a stutter, any other type type impediment or any other so-called handicap, they're not. They're only as much as we let them be. And go out there and help people. That's what it's about. So, yeah, if someone has a stutter, a lisp, or something else, go out and do the best you can do. And, again, these sound like just words and words you hear all the time. Just go do the best you can do. But it's amazing what you have to offer the world and other people. And, again, if you're asked to speak, you didn't win a lottery. You've been asked to speak for your knowledge, for your ability to share that knowledge, whatever it might be. You're up there for a reason.
Yeah, I think that's well said, Peter, that the audience, when they're listening for content and the relation is there, I think most of us don't care all that much about you must be polished or I'm not even going to get the content. I'm curious, Peter, are you dealing with or did you have therapy to where you have totally overcome the lisp and stutter? You did mention that you can become, I'm going to assume, emotional, talking about family, and that could cause a little bit of a stutter. But was it speech therapy that helped you through any of that aspect?
I'm laughing because back in the 60s, what they called speech therapy would be probably prosecuted today as child abuse. I stood there every Tuesday morning in the 4th grade for an hour, literally stood up in front of this woman and said, "Slippery Sammy Serpent has 7 silly sisters." And I would say it not only with a lisp, but I'd stutter my way through it. So it sounded more like Slippery Sammy Serpent. And I would do that for an hour and other things as well. And I hated this woman, absolutely hated the woman, hated Tuesday mornings. And lo and behold, it helped. I still have a lisp, but most people won't hear it because it doesn't come up too often. And I do stutter on occasion. I'll stutter. I know to use very small words, which every speaker should, by the way. Anybody who's listening and interested in public speaking, use simple words, simple sentences. But every once in a while, I'll be up on stage, and I have no idea why, but my brain plays games on me, and it'll say, use this 5-syllable word you've never used before in your life. And there's no way that's coming out well. And I just stutter all over it. And I laugh at it now. And I'll do the Porky Pig thing where at the end of the Looney Tunes, Porky Pig would try to say the end and change it to "that's all, folks." I'll change that 5-syllable word as I'm stuttering on it into 2 simple words and have a laugh with it. And the audience usually laughs with it as well. Are they laughing with me? No, they're laughing at me, but I have fun with that because what else are you going to do? But, yeah, my brain will play tricks on me, and I'll stutter my way through that.
Has anyone told you maybe before a speech I said something to the effect, well, Peter, I'm not going to listen to you because of your lisp or stutter? And then same type question, has anyone at the conclusion of a keynote speech said to you, Peter, gosh, you talk with a lisp and a stutter that's very difficult to understand you. Anything, has anyone brought anything like that to mind? And I have a very specific purpose in asking.
No, never. No one's ever said that. They might pick on my accent, but my Rhode Island accent, but no, they've never said anything like that. You know, most people who don't know me don't know that I've dealt with those 2 things. So unless it comes up on stage, the lisp they probably won't hear. They might hear the stutter. But a lot of times we just think that's someone either being nervous or looking for words or whatever. It's not unusual for a speaker to get up and stutter a little bit, especially if their brain's flying. So it's nothing that anybody truly picks out and mentions. And that's another thing. You can listen to anybody. We can listen to Kennedy and King and Churchill and these people who were so fluent it wasn't funny. But you can also find tapes of them where they stutter their way through something. So it's because whatever's happening, their mind's racing, they forgot what they wanted to say, something distracted them. It happens to everybody, and it almost seems normal on stage. And most people don't even pick up on it.
Here's what I believe our listeners need to totally assimilate. It's not about me, it's about the audience. And my guess, Peter, is you had to assimilate that in your life. It's not about you. It's the audience. And if I'm thinking correctly, how did you overcome that? And it is about the audience, not about you. If you had to make that mindset transition, how did you do that?
A lot of it had to do with my dad. My dad was my hockey coach at one time and my baseball coach at another. And he was also a very helpful man. And he died when I was 30, so I learned an awful lot from him in my younger years. And I looked back on things he taught me, and a lot of what he taught me was about sports that translated into life. And I think that was his plan more than just teaching me about sports. And that translated into life, and I would take a lot of things he'd say and say, okay, this is how I'm going to apply it. And quite truthfully, I tell this little story, and people go, oh, that's cute, but it has a ton of meaning to me. My great-grandmother lived to be 100, so she died when I was 18. She lived up in Nowhere, Maine. And we would travel up to Maine once a year when I was young. And about every 5 years, they had family reunions during the summer. And I had, 300 aunts, uncles, and cousins. It was a huge, huge family up there. And my great-grandmother, during these reunions, would always take the great-grandchildren aside, say one line, and walk away, not explain it, nothing. She did this every single time. And one year when I was about 12, she took maybe 15 of us great-grandkids aside. We were all on either side of becoming teenagers. And she said, if they look that close, slap their face. And I stood there as a 12-year-old boy and said, what does that mean? But in her fashion, she turned around, walked away, and that was it. Well, when I got a little older, I was thinking, maybe she was talking to the girls. And this, my great-grandmother being a country girl, saying, if the boys, now that you're a teenager, getting close, if the boys get that friendly, slap them. That's probably what she was saying. I took it to mean later on in life, if someone criticizes you, not critiques you, but criticizes you, the heck with them. Figuratively slap their face. Do the best you can do, and what else in life can be asked of you?
That is very well stated. Another way of saying it, I believe it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said, it's a loose translation, I'll never believe anything negative you say about me until and unless I believe what you're saying about me. I heard from another person who said, I would never listen to a person whom I would never seek advice. And so that's one way that we can process criticism.
Exactly. And there's a little bit of bravado in it. There's a little bit of, hey, if you're going to criticize me, you come up and give it a shot. It's easy to sit in an audience and criticize people. Thankfully, no one does, though. No one, well, I don't know about no one. Most people won't criticize a speaker, and that's a pretty cool thing. Think of it. Even if it's for self-preservation for an hour or whatever it might be, we want speakers to do well. No one wants to go sit in a room or an auditorium or wherever and listen to a speaker and say, I hope this guy is awful. No one wants to sit through an awful speaker. So we sit there and say, I hope this woman is awesome, and I get something out of this, and I take it away and whatever, because we don't want it to be bad. No one ever went into a school, say a college course, and on their first day in class say, I hope this professor stinks for the next 3 months. No, you want the professor to be entertaining and share knowledge and the like. We pull for speakers. And sometimes we literally do. Or I'm sure you've been in a meeting where someone is stuck on a word, and you know what they're trying to say, and you lean forward and almost try to pull it out of their mouth for them. That's what we try to do. We pull for speakers. So if your listeners, if you're nervous about speaking, Ron's done a lot of speaking, he could help you with this. If you're nervous with speaking, understand that you're there to share knowledge. You're not there to look like a star. You're not there to be fluent necessarily. You're there to share knowledge or help people, just as you would one-on-one. And that's key, too. Many of us try to get up and speak to 100 people. It's impossible to speak to 100 people. It can't be done. But the English language is awesome, in that it has the word you. And you means you're sitting across a desk from one person or in an auditorium with 100 people. So we can use that same word, have a conversation with one person, and it's replicated 99 other times instantly, and everybody thinks you're talking directly to them. When you phrase your words to speak to one person, all 100 of those people think you're talking to them. And that's what you want to do. Makes it easier on you as a speaker, because you can't speak to 100 people, but you can certainly speak to one.
Peter, I think one of the messages that you have for all of us is it's the relatability or relational. Your great-grandmother that had a very positive impact on you in the context of a relation. I think that for many of us, as we develop relationships and we find someone who can believe in us, that helps increase the confidence, and it becomes synergistic across the board, that as we develop relationships with someone who cares about us, your voice tells our audience right now, Peter, that you care about them. It is about you. It's not about me, and hopefully you elevate me figuratively to a throne position, but I'm here to share information to you. I'm here to advance you, and when that mindset comes across, the audience, I believe, receives just that, and you're a very relatable person, Peter.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. I really enjoy helping people, and I'll tell you why I do. I had a very special relationship with my dad. He was my hero, still is to this day, 33 years after his death. But he instilled in me that you want to help people. He was a firefighter here in Rhode Island, and I wanted to be a firefighter like him. He knew it wasn't for me. But he told me, you'll find your way to help people in life. It's not the way I help people, literally saving their lives, but you'll find your way to help people. And this is how I ended up helping people. This is how I honor my father, by helping others do something they thought they couldn't do, or the ones who believed they could do it at a high level. And this is the way I look at it, Ron. I might not see my youngest clients. I'm never going to see the peak of their careers. I'll be long gone. But I know I've helped them in some way. And if that can help them, in business, then their business will help them achieve personal goals too. Maybe that's to send their kids to a particular college, or have a house on a lake up in Maine, or whatever it might be. I've helped them accomplish that. But the one thing, and this was my greatest compliment from one of my clients, it was a president of a multinational company. And at the end he said, Peter, I hired you to help me with public speaking and up my game. You absolutely did that. But even more so, you brought me to a level of confidence I never knew I had. And that's what goes with speaking in public. Confidence that permeates every other aspect of your life.
You know of someone who just might need encouragement to take on something that they feel they just don't have the confidence to take on? There's something holding them back. Is there someone within your circle of influence who just needs some encouragement to move out and just do? Am I possibly talking with that person? I'm not necessarily speaking of public speaking. I am talking about just helping a person with the encouragement to take on something that they might be uncertain if they can take on and do. Your encouragement could have a far greater impact than what you know. I want to encourage you to reach out to that person who may lack the confidence, who may lack whatever it takes to do whatever it is they're thinking of doing, but they feel they just don't have what it takes to take that on. Give them the encouragement. Reach out to them. We would never patronize, but from the heart, when we are speaking that way and people know we care, we can help people accomplish what they think is unaccomplishable. Let's share results and share this message with other people. Peter, let's advance that to the listener who doesn't have the confidence to speak, but you're also speaking to the person. And one aspect of our podcast is let's engage with people to advance others. to help them achieve their design potential. Help us with a call to action. Maybe a person who doesn't aspire to speak publicly, but there may be someone within their sphere of influence who believes that this person can, but they lack the confidence. How do we help that person achieve what we believe to be their design potential? You've done that with some of your clients, and your dad did that with you. So help that listener who's right at that point.
The person who helped me with that, was physically there with me, was my wife. And when I went out on the road speaking, I used to be away almost half the year. When she could, and she runs her own business, she would come with me, and she'd be my support. And I'll tell you the truth, without her, I don't think I could have done it. So it was really having someone there right at the moment saying, you've got this. Just go out there and be you. Just go out there and make sure that you understand it's about the audience. And she would remind me. I tell her, remind me of this when I'm nervous. Say this. And to this day, and I'm going to speak, is when we get off the phone here, I'm going to speak at a company. And every single time I speak, to this day, she puts a note in my bag, my computer bag, that says, knock 'em dead. And if I don't get that note, I don't know what I would do. So it might seem silly, but get that person who can literally and figuratively hold your hand. They'll help you. I tell my clients, call me. I'll walk you off the ledge if you get extremely nervous or whatever it might be right before you speak. But find that person who will be there for you and encourage you, even if it's on the phone, and encourage you and do it. You'll find out, nope, you didn't die. And truthfully, the first few times you might find that you didn't do as well as you had expected. Well, who does? No one does. We all get better with practice. We all get better as we learn. And what did you ever do the first time that was perfect? It certainly wasn't walk. It certainly wasn't talk. It certainly wasn't run or sing or anything else. We don't do anything perfectly that first time. Find that special person in your life who will encourage you no matter what.
That is very well said. I am right beside my personnel manager, business manager, my life partner of 53 years as of this recording, my wife, and she is my greatest encourager. But Peter, everything you've said has to do with relationships, that when you are partnered with, and you are maybe literally hand in hand, but figuratively at least hand in hand with someone who believes in you, that can exponentially increase your confidence.
It really does. And one of the things I tell my prospects is funny because I know it kind of falls on deaf ears. I always add in, when our time of working together as coach and student are done, I will always be here for you. We don't start a business transaction. We start a relationship. And that really falls on deaf ears because they're interested in more of how many sessions, all those things. I get that. But afterwards, they see the value in that we do start a relationship. So just like you said, it's about relationships. We start that relationship, and until the day I can no longer physically do it or I'm not on this earth or whatever it is, I will support them in every way I can.
And that is an aspect of our respective businesses that we're in for a lifetime partnership. We're not a once in and out and done. And that lifetime partnership is what we are both after. So I applaud you for that, Peter.
Thank you. Same to you. And some people might say, well, Peter, that's easy for you. Listen to you. You're obviously an extrovert, and you got out there in front of people. Here's the funny thing. I grew up and still am to this day both shy. It's very difficult for me to start a conversation with someone. I force myself to do it, but it's very difficult. And I'm an extreme introvert. I'm the guy who wants to be home on the couch next to my wife, talking, reading a book, watching television, whatever it might be. I'm not that extrovert everybody thinks most speakers are. And here's the coolest thing. If you ask me, and others agree to this, and it's a broad statement, so take it with a little grain of salt, introverts make the best speakers. So if someone's out there and says, yeah, I'm shy and I'm introverted, cool. You actually have a gift that extroverts, like my wife, might not have. extroverts might go up on stage and nail it, and you say, hey, that's great. Ron, you did a fantastic job. Do that again. And an extrovert will say, oh, I don't know how I did that. Rehearse, I didn't practice. They can't not necessarily replicate. Where introverts, we are so concerned with having this right and being totally prepared and everything else, you say, hey, that wasn't so good, Peter. All right, I'll work on this. I know what I did. I'll work on this, and I'll change that. Oh, that was fantastic. And you go, cool, I can do that again. I know how I did that. So if someone's letting their introvertedness, if that's a word, hold them back, don't let it. You actually have a gift.
Now, I appreciate you saying that. Yours and my marriages are just the opposite. Marty is the introvert, I'm the extrovert, but we are very different in complementary ways, as I'm discerning you and your wife are.
Yeah. Going all the way back to being an introvert, having a lisp and a stutter. I mentioned 3 awesome speakers, King, Kennedy, and Churchill. Winston Churchill is one of my favorite speakers, and here's why. He grew up with a lisp and a stutter. So if you can become Winston Churchill with a lisp and a stutter, you can do anything.
There are those of us who need the confidence. Marty is not as comfortable as I am being in front of crowds. That is not a statement that I'm a good speaker. It's just a statement of comfort level. But, Peter, I want to thank you on behalf of our audience for sharing from the heart. And you're a very relatable person. And I think for our listeners, studying the audience, knowing their needs and relating to them, and let's just go with it and develop relationships. That is one of the things that I think can be very beneficial to everybody.
It certainly can. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Peter. We look forward to following your journey. One of the recurring themes of this podcast series is the value of relationships. So many people have been able to work through, overcome, achieve whatever through a relationship. It's not necessarily a formal mentoring relationship, but as Peter told us, his dad at an early age had a very positive impact on him with sports. He knew that in spite of his lisp and stuttering, that his prowess in sports gave him the confidence that he'll be able to overcome anything in his speech. Today, as with me, Peter's wife, my wife, Marty, is my inspiration for every day that we each, through our committed relationship to our wives, our spouses, are able to be encouraged to move forward, to overcome any apprehension we may have. But it's through that relationship of having someone who cares for you, about you, and genuinely encourages you to do your very best. Through that relationship, we are able to do our best. I want to give you my strongest encouragement. Reach out. Engage with someone that you know is a person of potential, not necessarily a person who is living below their potential, but just always be an encouragement to people, even if they are on a high, so to speak, even if they're well adjusted, but particularly those who just need some encouragement to overcome what they may think is a mountain in their lives. There are some people who are being held back from living their full potential because of some troubling aspects in their past. Coaching can help that person overcome that. Marty and I are certified coaches through the John Maxwell team. We can help anyone through any past experiences, some things that may have been said to or about a person that causes them to doubt themselves. Many times we have limiting beliefs. I, through 4 mentors in my life, 4 men, helped me overcome some very low points in my life, low self-esteem, low confidence. They helped me to believe in myself and helped me overcome a past where I wasn't sure that I would be able to do what I'm able to do today. So I want to give you my strongest encouragement. Reach out and be a positive impact to somebody. Never doubt the very positive effect you can have on someone when you talk to them from your heart. When you talk to them from your heart, they know you care. And it's when you project yourself, your persona is such that people know you care, you can be and you will be a very positive impact on other people. We hope we can warrant a 5-star rating from you. We hope that you will want to follow us in this Overcoming series. We hope you'll share this podcast with those within your circle of influence. We hope that you'll want to reach out to those who need to be encouraged, those who are possibly living below their full potential. They just need to be encouraged to have them live the fulfilled life, to be at their full potential. As we share with our Facebook friends, our LinkedIn connections, others within our circle of influence, we can help people achieve and live their full potential. That's one of our life goals, that we help people overcome any inhibitions of the past, anything that keeps them from achieving and living their full God-designed purpose in life. Marty and I also have a digital relationship course we have developed that is focused on dating to determine the right life partner, but we're also developing a workplace relationship course where we know the value of relationships, just as it is with Peter, his dad, his wife, Marty, with me. We know the value of relationships and how those very connected relationships and those who love and speak from the heart can help advance people to achieve their very best in life. Call us at 410-586-1875 or send an email to Ron at thecooperculture.com or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at thecooperculture.com. Let's share insights, let's reach out, let's encourage, and let's advance people to their maximum potential. We look forward to working with you.